Hi everyone, I have woken up bright and early this morning and I think it's because I have so many creative ideas in my head. Last night I just had so many different things pop into my head about experimenting with watercolours, so I think I just got up early so that I could have a go. If it's a little bit noisy, I've got the window open because it's 30 degrees in London, so I'm sorry if you can hear cars going past, but it's just so hot at the moment. We're having a really awful summer and lots of forest fires and wildfires around the UK. But the idea I had today, I'm brand new to watercolour and I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no techniques, no skills, no previous experience with painting. And I've basically done two paintings so far and just trying to learn. But I had this idea last night that I wanted to experiment with bubbles. And so I basically have just done a little bowl with washing up liquid in it. And I taped off some squares because I wanted to have a go at doing different techniques, just literally experimenting, not looked anything up. But I thought I'd have a go at, like, for instance, one square, putting bubbles on the page and then adding colour, and then another square already having coloured the bubbles and put them on the page, and so on and so forth. And I also thought some other squares I'd just have a go at dropping paint on the paper and see how it comes out. And I've got a little spritz bottle which I need to fill up actually, and I thought I'll just have a go at seeing how the colours blend and merge together, and maybe each square is really unique, and at the end of it I thought there'd be like an abstract design kind of thing. But I hope you enjoy. I might time lapse some of the bits and do little voiceovers and everything. But welcome to my channel if you're here. I'm brand new here and this channel is just about learning and experimenting and having fun. So for the first one, I spritzed it first and then I put some bubbles on. And because it was so wet, the bubbles kept sliding off and kind of running down to the left, because obviously the page is a little bit slanted where it's in the sketchbook. And I was trying to blob paint on, but just the bubbles kept moving around. So I didn't think it was necessarily going to make such a good result, but we'll see at the end. But I did kind of think it was too wet to have any effect where I'd spritz the page and then put the bubbles on. I just think there was like too much water for it to have any like magical effect. The second one, I decided to leave it dry and I just put the bubbles on top of the page, thinking that it'd be enough moisture, and I just tried to dab some paint on and flick it on. And as you can see, I went back to the first one because it was sliding all over the place and making a mess. The third one, I spritzed the page and then I tried to just flick paint on and dab a little bit to see again what sort of effect it could have. And the final one, I left it dry and just flicked paint on. I didn't do any dabbing at all. I've just done my bubble section, as you can see, and we'll see how that comes out once it's dry. I'm not expecting miracles, and I'm also expecting the tape to run as well because I made the paper quite wet in certain areas, so I'm not expecting perfect rectangles. But I thought I'd have a go next at just blobbing paint on and seeing how it comes out and in different colours, and kind of just going with the flow and not really having any plan. That's probably my dad texting. Okay, so from left to right, I spritzed the page and then I just blobbed some colours on, and I didn't really think about blending, I just literally was blobbing. And I did the same thing with the second one. I spritzed it, blobbed some colours, but then I spritzed it again, and just added some more darker colours on, just literally as an experiment to see what it's going to look like. And then the third one, I think it was not as wet. I put it, like, it was wet but not as wet, and then I just put some colours on and spritzed it. And then the final one, I kind of did light colours to dark colours and then a bit of splatter. I also had this idea, I wanted to try doing something with rice as well to see if it ends up leaving any texture. But I basically stole my partner's risotto rice from the cupboard just now, and I'm going to try one where it's wet and then put the rice, and then try one where it's dry, put the rice and then wet it, and see if it does anything with the texture. But that's not our dinner for tonight, I can reassure you. So I've just been spritzing the squares, well, the rectangles, a couple of times, and then I'm just going to put down a little bit of rice. I don't quite know what the clean-up process is going to look like today, and that's absolutely okay. Like, I can see there's a bit of rice in the watercolour, but shouldn't art and creativity be about making a mess and not caring sometimes? And like, I'm just going to splatter it on actually, I think, because I don't quite know how it would get on the page. I'm not sure what to do, or unless I put it on and spritz it, I don't know. Unsure about what to do, just experimenting. It might have absolutely no colour underneath at all, and that's fine. We'll just see how it comes out. But I think creativity is about playing with different things, isn't it? And just having a go. And I'm not saying I'm a master, but how did the great masters learn to do things? They experimented. I'm not sure if it's going to make any colours underneath. So maybe with a brush I should just give the rice a swirl, maybe. And maybe it will do something. This is one of those videos where people maybe will look at it and be like, oh my goodness, what is she doing? But I'm literally just having fun, and it doesn't need an explanation sometimes, does it? Sometimes it's just have a go and see what happens. Next one, I decided to leave it dry, put the rice on, spritz it, but then the rice kept getting stuck to the paintbrush, so that was fun. And I just tried to blob paint on as much as possible. The third one, I put paint down first and spritzed it, and then put the rice on top and sprayed it again. And the fourth one, I thought this would be fun. I did bubbles and rice just to see what the effect would be like, which maybe it's interesting. I can hear my granddad's voice in my head saying, what are you making? A mess. I'm quite interested to see how the rice ones turn out, see if there's any difference with the texture and anything. Not that there's some magical technique, but just literally an experiment. But I was going to say it's quite fascinating how they all affect each other. It's like the butterfly effect, where I've been flicking paint on this one, it's ended up on this one, and where I flicked paint on this one, it ended up on this one, and like there's tiny splatters up there. And it's kind of like the butterfly effect in life, isn't it? Everything affects something else, and I think that's kind of cool. And then it kind of adds to the beauty, or it adds to what the other one experiences, if you like. I'm trying to turn this philosophical, and I really shouldn't, but you know what I mean. It has a lay-on effect. Final row, I made the first one really wet, and it was so much water, it was going all over the place. And with the second one, I did the same again. I made it very wet and just looked at how the colours merged together, but I came back at the end and dabbed some of the water off. For the third one, I'm going to say it was very big splatters, and then for the fourth one, I did smaller splatters just to notice any difference with the technique. I think what I'm going to do is first wash my face, because where I was splattering paint, I can feel it up my cheek. And second of all, I think I'm going to let it all dry for a couple of hours, because the page is quite wet, especially at the bottom. I spritzed it loads in this corner. But I will come back and show you the final results without the tape on it and without the rice on it, and we'll see what masterpiece we may have here. This could be the prodigy of the new whatever in the Tate Gallery in London. It's a little while later and I've got a lot to say. Just chaotic, isn't it? We'll go through them one by one, but first I wanted to say I kind of love how much this has just bled out of the lines, and like these ones, they all have such a unique effect. And then I love how this is like a perfect rectangle, and then these ones kind of look like they're in frames because you can see a darker line, but then you've got like a natural frame around the edge. I think they all deserve a little close-up so that you can see them properly. First we have Very Wet and Bubbles. And I mean, I'm not going to say whether I like them or not because it's just experimenting, but I do kind of like just how it's all mushed down. Obviously you can't really see the bubbles very well. You can kind of see tiny patches of bubbles, and then it kind of went off the page, so it's like it's extended the art onto the other page. Next we have Dry Page and Bubbles, and you can see the texture a bit more but still not as much, and you'll see further along where I flicked the paint on, it came out better I think than the one where I dabbed the paint on. This particular one, it was spritzing the page, flicking and dabbing the paint, and I kind of really love the effect. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of got a very watercolor look to it, like in the terms of, I don't know, it just reminds me of like Monet, I don't know, that kind of style where it's got that kind of impressionism look, and it's kind of very abstract looking, then this one is very severe and striking compared to the others. This is the one where I just did it dry and I flicked the paint on. I've written on all of them, so I remember what I did when I look back at it in the future. Going on to the next row, I really enjoy the colour palette of this particular row. So the first one, it was just blobbing paint on and no blending or anything. And I like how the blue has just exploded out, and there's some flicks from some of the others. I think it might have been from this particular one here. Some of the red flicked onto this. And I particularly enjoy, I wrote same again because I'm nerdy like that, and that's absolutely okay. I like the colour palette of this one because it reminds me again of Monet and that kind of style. It just reminds me of one of his paintings, and again, it doesn't look like anything, but it's just the colour palette of that sort of style. This one, it was not as wet, and I blobbed paint on and then spritzed it afterwards, and you can see that the paint didn't spread as much as the previous two. And then this one, it was light to dark colours. I did the light first, then did the darker colours and flicked a bit of paint on. And I think these darker marks have come from this one. I'm not sure where it's come from. I love the chaos of this one. I can't wait to get to this one. This is very interesting, and I feel like some people might be quite surprised with the results, because I'm quite surprised with the results. Obviously this one, it was wet. I put the rice on, tried to put paint on, and then I mixed it about with a brush because I didn't think it would have any colour. But where it was very wet and it's dried with the rice on it, you can actually see the outlines of the grain of rice. But doesn't it kind of look like blood cells? Like, not the right colour, but you know, like, you know when you see pictures and graphics of like blood cells and things in the body and bacteria under a microscope, it kind of has that sort of look to it. And then the next one, it was dry. I put rice on, spritzed it and blobbed paint on. And I think this has a beautiful effect. I quite like this one as a little abstract thing. And it's not got too many colours in it. I enjoy the wishy-washy of it. And I like how you can't tell that there was any rice there compared to this one. Like this, you can see the shapes very clearly, whereas this one, you can't see any evidence of it at all. And then going on to the next one, again, you can see that there's grains of rice there. This one, I painted it first. I put the colour down, spritzed it, then put the rice on and spritzed it. But again, you can see the grains, but in a different way to how it was when it was wet first. And then I think this might be my favourite one, even though the colours are not my favourite. But I like the effect that it's had with the big explosion. It kind of makes me laugh how you get happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. But this one, I did rice and bubbles together. I don't think I wet it first. I think I just did the bubbles and then put the rice down. And you can see some of the bubbles, and you can see a couple of grains of rice, and then there's a couple of flicks on it from the one below. Coming to the final row, I like how these couple have turned out because they look like natural frames. It literally looks like they have a picture frame around them. So this was very wet. I'm laughing at this because there's a little bit of paint down here that just looks like this one was very, very, very wet, and I just blobbed the paint on either end, and they've just kind of mixed together. And then this one was very wet, and I came back to it and then dabbed some of it off with a little piece of toilet roll. So it lifted some of the paint off. And again, I like the colour palette. I would say I probably prefer this one because it has a darker, more vibrant look, whereas this one looks more washed out. This one was wet page and big splatters, and it kind of has a galaxy look to it. I think it looks like a sort of space, like I was going to say Super Mario Galaxy kind of colour palette, and all of the big splatters have just merged into one, whereas the very final one is small splatters, and they didn't actually blend together. I think the page might have been slightly less wet than this one, but I just did small flicks of paint with a couple of different colours, and it hasn't blended as much. But overall, I just love how they've all come out as experimental pieces. I'd love to hear in the comments which one is your favourite. I really don't know for me. I really love this because it's chaotic and messy, but I don't love the colour palette. But then I love the harshness of this. I like the colours of this. I like the colours of this. And then I kind of like how this one is a tie-dye effect. But I was surprised with the rice as well, how that came out very differently depending on how I did it, if I wet the page or not. But yeah, let me know which one you like, and if there's any other ideas I should try. I did just have an idea about doing it with bubble wrap actually, where I wet the page and do paint and then put bubble wrap on top, and I thought maybe it would make lots of little circles, but I don't have any in the house. I was even going to try oats, but I thought it would end up having porridge on the page, so I didn't want to do that because I thought it would be really messy and sloppy. But I hope you enjoyed the video and I look forward to making the next one. Have a good day. Bye.